Good morning, class. Just wanted to give you an update on some new stuff that's going on. Figured maybe this week we would tackle a restoration project. The piece that I have, I've already put the pictures up on the website. The before pictures are on the website, and I've done quite a bit of work on it since then. Just going to give you a little update of what I did and the things that you can do. This piece happened to be something that was my wife's grandmother's. So I'm dating it probably somewhere in the 40s, mainly because of style and some of the fasteners that were used. I'll look at those to see if, especially if they're screws, if they're hand cross-cut screws, and you can tell they were done not necessarily on a press, they were more cut. It kind of ages or does that. I'm not an expert by any stretch on furniture and how old it is, and if there's a date on it, then that makes it easy, but this one didn't have one. Just had some numbers, really didn't even have a manufacturer on it. Like most older antique pieces, it was really well built. All the drawers were dovetailed. If you've seen, I try to do that on a lot of stuff when I can. Especially after we got our dovetail jig in the shop set up. But it just makes for stronger drawers. It's hard to do on the actual like lengthy pieces, but on drawers it makes them really strong, hold together. So these were dovetailed, mostly hardwood on the drawers. A lot of veneer, which is that, if you'll remember from previous lessons, which is they take like a solid piece, and then if they want it to be maple or oak or whatever, instead of buying a solid piece of oak, they'll buy veneer, which is generally somewhere between like a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch, and they'll glue it down over it. And some of the glue back in those days, the old days, was that horse, made out of like horse hooves and stuff like that. So it was actually really strong. Maybe not as strong as some of the stuff we use, but it's, we've kind of gotten away from using animals to make our glue. But I will, next video is going to kind of show you the pieces. I'll talk through them. You won't see my pretty face on there, but I'll turn the camera around and we'll look at the piece as it is right now, which is kind of in different stages. Have a mirror that I just started trying to restore up to a certain point. The dresser itself, which is one of the low chest of 5 drawers, so there's 2 on each side, then 1 in the middle. It's almost like a vanity type dresser with a big mirror on it, big heavy beveled mirror actually, and the veneer on it was really bad on the sides. One thing that I didn't want to do, because this was my wife's grandmother's piece, I didn't want to take it completely apart and then not be able to get it together. So I didn't actually rip veneer off. I just decided it's on the sides. It's probably going to go up against a wall. Let me get it to cling as best as I can. And then at least the side pieces won't be visible really, and on the inside as well. And I'll show you that. I was going to get those to a point to where it's not noticeable, and then concentrate more on the tops. Also, a couple of things wanted to do was keep some of the character. This is an 80-year-old piece, so you wanted to keep some of that character from years, but you don't want it to look abused. So you want a happy medium in there. Didn't want to use any chemical strippers. I'm not a big fan of them anyway. I'll use them when I have to, but for the most part, I find I make a much bigger mess trying to save myself a little bit of time with chemical strippers, and generally every time I use them I spend the same amount of time as if I tried to carefully sand it down. Your biggest problem with sanding is you're going to get somewhat inconsistent results, and you have the chance of blowing through the veneer. Meaning that if you sand on it too much, you're going to dig into that that next layer, which is usually pretty hideous and stains up totally different. So it's usually stains up darker. This, I'm going for a more, I think I'm going Salem maple on this. I use some of the Czar stains that I bought from Rockler. It's good. It goes on consistent. I mean, it's not crazy great compared to Minwax or Valspar or whatever else you can buy at Home Depot. Those are good. Those are serviceable. You know, the trick is kind of getting your wood ready for it. So I will turn this around here, and next video will be of the piece itself, kind of showing you the different stages I'm in.